Hello, Heather. Almost called you
Heather Hilton Hartford.
I know, almost called you Hilton Heather Hartford.
Mommy, you're not. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh,
You
today's
don't have to get
my
it.
busy day, so my brain is like.
Yeah, and I have a complicated name. I can't help it.
Well, compared to mine is awful. Anywho, so we're going to talk about, and hello, Erik, my love.
Hello, Mama.
The Waukesha Christmas parade crowd.
Yes, he's been really mellow, and
okay,
yeah, because he's like this is a serious subject, but he's like, I'm as mellow as I can get, which isn't that mellow, because we've been chatting, and he's kind of been lifting me up because I've been sort of weepy, and because I know that I knew that we were doing this today. I don't know a lot about it because I don't have cable. I don't watch the news. I didn't look it up.
It's best.
I only saw what happened the day of.
Yeah.
But I knew this was going to be hard. So he's been really.
Uh-oh. Did you disappear? Are you there?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I had to shut off my internet because when Eric's here, when the energy is really strong, I can't use my internet at all.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, we're ready to do this, but I'm surprised that after talking, because when we get ready to do these videos, I always talk to Erik and I'm like, okay, prepare me for this and all of that. But I wasn't sure if I should do it because I've been falling a lot lately. I think the ALS is really kicking in. I have 2 broken ribs. I have a hairline fracture in my scapula, my lower left pelvis, and I broke my tailbone. So I've been, but visceral pain is nothing compared to nerve pain. And when you have nerve pain, because I have trigeminal neuralgia too, it's like it's a walk in the park compared to nerve pain. I walked on a broken foot for 6 weeks. So I was like, should I do this? Am I okay to do this? And he says, yeah, you are. You need to do this.
Okay.
So I was like, okay.
I was like Cymbalta. Have you ever tried Cymbalta? It's awesome for nerve pain, by the way.
I'm very sensitive to medication. I actually take the children's dose of medication because I'm so sensitive to it.
Cymbalta. Anyway, we don't want to go into your medical stuff necessarily.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
Learn something from this, I mean, from the Waukesha incident. That's why
this is something, and to be honest with you, I didn't want to do it. Yeah. And Erik says, Heather, you have to do this.
Well, let's find out why.
And I know, because I'm like so nervous about it, because part of me felt like, is this too soon? I mean, maybe this is my conscious mind. Is it too soon? Yeah. I want to do this justice. But he said, no.
Let's plow through and find out. First of all, Erik, tell us what you know, or what would help us understand this.
Okay, so the first thing he says is, Mom, this is not God's will, which is surprising to me.
Yeah,
because and he's clarifying this by saying everything comes from light, everything comes from God. We know that, but things that come from God don't always stay connected to God. And when I say God, I mean source, pure white light energy, Allah, whoever you see God as God.
Yeah.
That we become disconnected. And on earth, we do have heaven and hell. We do have the polar opposites, the duality. And the first thing he said is this was not God's will.
To this a little bit.
This was free will.
All right. So was it originally some sort of contract?
Yes and no. Yes and no. Okay. So do you want the yes or the no first?
Oh, I don't care. We're going to hear both of them.
All right. Erik, tell me the yes. soul contracts, they're not linear like we think in the human
Yeah.
mind.
Okay.
So soul contracts we do have exit points. We can choose them or not. I am not saying through Erik that these people chose to exit,
Right.
because he said that wasn't necessarily a choice.
Okay.
But there are soul contracts involved, and there's also tragedy
Yeah.
in that some people died way too young,
Yeah. Mm.
and because of somebody else's free will and dense energy.
So this was not Brooks, the one who drove the car. It wasn't his
I,
contract. It was his free will, maybe loosely based on some original contract that was not supposed to be exactly like this.
so Brooks is the one who did this.
Yeah.
Is that his name? All right. Erik, can you tell me about Brooks? Okay, so he's showing me there were things that led up to this. And it wasn't just, all right, so it wasn't just he was acting on impulse, but it was. So it's a little bit of both, but there was a whole line of things that added up that brought him to do this. So soul contract, yes. Free will, absolutely.
Well, what was the original soul contract that then sort of got tweaked by his free will?
He says that there's not just his soul contract involved, there's others. Other people are living with this, with guilt,
Okay, well,
and
let's
are
talk about
learning
him
from this.
first.
Right, but that's what he's saying. Yes, what was his soul contract? It's none of our fucking business.
He's saying that, or Erik?
Erik is saying that because we do want to know why, but we don't, in this human realm, we don't get to know why. But he says this
Why
is
in this
not
case?
just
Why in this
his,
case can't we know at least something to learn from?
he was a ticking time bomb. Something was going to happen.
Yeah.
And he broke through barriers. Like there were other incidences that could have happened, but didn't. And this was just an instant to where his soul contract was fulfilled because he was going to kill people.
Okay. I got you. All right. I understood. But it ended up a little bit differently than the original design plan, so to speak.
This was a tragedy, a true tragedy. This was, and that's why he wanted to say, I mean, everything, I do believe this, everything happens for a reason. A lot of people can't stand that term, but I've talked with Erik a lot about this in my guides too.
Yeah.
That they do happen for a reason, and we don't understand it, and it sucks. It fucking sucks, and it's heartbreaking. Why do people have to hurt so much?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the
and when he said this was not God's will, it means that God doesn't want, or source energy does not want people to suffer. But we have free will here, and we have soul contracts, and there is meant to be duality, and there is meant to be good and evil. And there are innocent
we're here
bystanders.
in part to sever the contrast. Otherwise, why the human
Yes.
experience? So yes,
Yes.
of course, it's too bad it had to be reached that level, but all right,
so he's showing me, I don't know how many people died, but he's showing me the number 10.
I don't know, I can't remember. I know one little boy died a little while afterwards. He was in critical condition, maybe 10 or 11, but it's very close, something like that. We're getting
Okay,
all
so
these shootings mixed up with one another. Okay, so that's the part of the problem. So
that's sad.
oh yeah. All right, so can you talk about if the victims, especially the little 6-year-old boy, if it was their spiritual contract to die this way, or in some cases be maimed in this way?
I'm trying to put this, so this is the hard part about being a channeler and a psychic medium, is trying to put into words
Oh, God.
what he's saying, because
Yeah.
I wish we could hear the sentences and words.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to put this into words.
Slow down, Erik.
Erik is Erik is very, very sad about this, because he said he's very, very he's being very caring about people who are going to listen to this, and about people who, especially family, because his family's going to hear this.
Well, that's why I
Now
be in a good light from a perspective that's
he's
not voyeuristic.
there. Yes. What Erik is telling me is that he was gone before he got to the hospital.
Okay.
Yes. So it was his time.
Did he suffer? Or was it?
No,
Oh, good,
didn't feel a thing.
good. Okay. Was it one of his exit points?
It was his exit point. It was his time.
And
And
why?
that's fucking hard. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not okay for a parent to bury a child. It's not okay.
Tell me about it.
I have a hard time with that. And Erik knows I have a hard time with, you have a hard time with that. It's just,
Oh, yeah.
it's not fair.
No.
And it's hard to say, and Erik is saying, it's okay. It's okay. It's when it's your time, it's your time, but it just doesn't feel okay.
No, I mean, there's no word for it, like widow or widower, etc., because there shouldn't be a
Yeah.
word for it. That
Yeah.
shouldn't even happen. So he did not suffer. That's good. Did his death, was it meant to learn him to learn?
There is something
something?
there is something that's going to come from this.
Good.
There's going to be,
I don't want
they're
his
already talking about a memorial. They're
Okay.
already talking about some sort of memorial. It's never going to be forgotten.
Good.
This incident is never going to be forgotten, and his name is not good. It's never going to be forgotten.
So Erik, what else can you say, for the family and for the general audience, that will make us understand that this little boy's death was not just a tragic waste? Talk about the good that
He's also talking about others who
yes
had
yeah.
who had passed in this, and there were others who also were extremely a huge part of the community or society, very big contributors. They were very much loved.
Oh.
And that's why this hit so hard, and that's why this is not ever going to be forgotten. And there's going to be a plaque, and there's going to be their names are never going to be forgotten.
Good.
This is not going to be in vain, and this is part of the big picture, to where we've seen a lot of these tragedies, and it's, look at where we were 40 years ago to where we are now, and how much more in tuned we are with each other, with supporting this kind of thing, and with becoming more awake and enlightened, and understanding that there's more beyond what has happened than what we know.
Are there any tangible things other than the plaque that will come out of this tragedy that's good? Like some certain types of awareness, certain laws, certain anything.
There is going to be a law that changes, and it feels like it has to do with the justice system.
Oh, good.
And it has to do with holding people more accountable. And I don't know if a restraining order, I feel like restraining orders have been very loose.
Okay.
I don't know if this is okay. So I don't know if it's restraining order or or bail or probation or something like that, but something was very loose.
Yeah,
And
I think so. I think he's had a huge rap sheet, and he just ran over his wife with the same SUV. I don't know, the same day or the day before. I can't remember. But yeah,
oh,
is this
geez.
about the revolving door justice system where
There is going to be
bail
change. There
yeah.
is going to be change, because this is going to be an outcry for justice,
No, this
and
is
not
not,
just about justice
yeah, this
with
has
what
been a real
happened that
problem
day, but justice, the
all
whole
over,
picture. It's a
all over
big picture.
all over the country. There's been a decriminalization of crime and more rights for the criminals and the victims. No bail, don't put them in jail, no bail because it's inhumane. And well, this whole thing is kind of inhumane if you ask me. So I think that we're going to have the pendulum swing to where we are going to hold people accountable. Have faith in them to learn, have faith in them to have their choices steered by Damocles sword hanging over their head.
Well,
They'll
and
go to prison if they do anything wrong.
this is really freaking interesting, because Eric's telling me that wow, this is really interesting. So he's showing me how parents can be held accountable for what their kids do, that the justice system should be held accountable for crimes that are committed because of their injustice or lack of action, or
Yeah, lack of
like
consequences for criminals.
like how can they hold parents accountable for what their kids do when the justice system isn't held accountable for allowing people to continue to reoffend?
Yeah,
So
and like
I'm
the
getting
recent
that he was
incidents
a
of the
reoffender.
yeah, it was. But like
And
the parents who gave their kid a gun, bought it for him, and then he shot, 4 kids and I don't know, maimed 7 others or something like that.
oh, I'm sure that's
Well, that
happened. I'm sure.
so that's maybe another thing the universe is trying to teach us these things to,
Yeah,
trust people to deal with consequences for their actions and deliver them. Deliver
because
them.
we have to be mindful,
Yes.
every single one of us, mindful of our contribution
Yeah.
to the general collective.
It's almost irresponsible and inhumane to not deliver consequences to criminals, because then they never get better. And maybe people would not do a certain like smash and grab, etc., if they knew that they could wind up in prison. So maybe
Right.
they would choose a better
Well, but
path in life.
and Eric's showing me this heavy, because he's showing me the scales, like with the justice system. I get a lot of images and a lot of like flashes of parts of words, but it's about the justice system, and he's talking about how the justice system is what needs to be held accountable right now.
Yeah, I agree. And there's talk of that on what little news I watch. Now
There's going to be a change.
the media was like, kept saying the SUV committed this incident. It's almost like they didn't want to say that Brooks committed it because he's black.
What?
Yeah.
Are
they
you
said,
kidding me?
Yeah, the accident was caused by an SUV. It took him a long time to really say,
What?
this guy, I don't want to call him a
I
gentleman.
haven't. That's the first ever. I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
know
a real
that.
big deal. It's like, what?
Oh
SUV
my
committed this,
God.
accident caused by an SUV.
Not somebody who
So
drove the
why?
SUV.
Why is that? Is that the whole race card thing? That people don't want to say, well,
Eric, what
who
the
cares
heck
if
is
it's
up with
black or
that?
white? The tragedy is the
Eric,
same. It doesn't make any
he's
difference. That who cares if he was black? It would have been just as tragic if Brooks was white or Asian or Latino or anything.
he's shaking his head because he's like, he's like, I wish we wish that we could like jump in, you guys, and knock some common sense into you.
Yeah.
Because this is part of society, and it's part of what we're built on and what we're being molded to believe. So this is why I don't have cable and I don't watch the news, because
Yeah.
this is just, I'm blown away by this. And I'm like, Eric, what the hell is up with that?
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, he's like, what do you say? What do you say? It doesn't make any sense. It's
Well, what was
not
their motive
the
to,
vehicle. It's
yeah,
because they're trying to get our focus off what's important and onto something else. And it has a lot to do with politics and control.
God. So, but why did
Wow.
media phrase it like that? What's the reason?
Because
More
they
detailed reason.
don't want to talk about black or white or race or
Okay,
somebody's mental health. They don't
yeah,
want to talk about that because it's a big faux pas, because they get paid to talk about the things they're supposed to talk about. So if they blame it on the SUV, they can avoid the political topics that are hot topics. They don't want to hold the hot potato.
okay.
That's really funny.
I thought they would. Seemed like they like to pull the race card all the
No,
time.
he's like, no, they're controlled.
Okay. So is this also a lesson for the collective? And of course, awareness of the justice system needs changing, but is it
That's
also
exactly what
a
was
lesson
said.
for for mental health, awareness?
There, he says, and I know this too, and like we're saying it at the same time. It's like, Jinx, buy me a Coke, the old thing. We have been in this sort of repetitive cycle of needing to learn about mental health. Mental health is so important,
Yeah.
and we are not paying attention. We're not paying attention.
With the school shooting as well,
So,
same thing. Mental health. That guy was writing the pictures of a shooter shooting, but blood everywhere, and help me, or I can't.
which are you
Here's the
talking about, Columbine, or
No, I'm talking about the one that just happened with a little 15-year-old kid, the Crumbly
which one?
family. I can't remember.
Geez, I gotta watch them. I don't want to watch the
No,
news, but so there
don't.
was,
I kind of have to keep an eye
all
out,
right.
come up with topics that
Um,
we can all learn from, but
there are always signs, he's saying, always signs. Some are very, very subtle, and some are just blaring, like warning, like he's showing me hazard lights on a car. Some of them are that blaring, but we don't want to see it. Some are, he says, with mental health, some can be so, some are we're not meant to see, but they're still there.
yeah. Is there something
And
that oh, go ahead.
that hits home. That just hit home. I mean, some are, they're always there, but some we're not meant to see, but they're always there. And that's because
So
my father took his own life, and I know
yeah,
Erik took his own life. So it's hard.
it is. Well, a dear friend reminded me that I said long ago with Erik that we need to have mental health screenings in school on a regular basis, like an initial, database, and then maybe every year or 2 years or whatever through high school
Yes.
or something. I think there are all sorts of screening tools that are standardized that maybe could pick up some of those instances. So
I mean, they're not even really paying attention to the 50, what are they, what is it, the 504s?
504 or 501.
Um,
Yeah.
50, I don't know, but they're not even paying attention to that. I just started a 501(c). It's a nonprofit for mental health,
Okay.
and it's a business one. This is what I want to start to help people, because I have a son with bipolar,
Mhm.
and going through school was I was shocked
Oh.
at what they let slip under the rug.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it.
It's unbelievable, and
It really
this
is.
is what we need to open our eyes to,
Yeah.
not just mental health, but the justice system itself too.
Yeah. So
And we're
basically,
talking
mental health,
about all systems,
Yeah,
schools,
yeah.
hospitals, all of it.
All right, so mental health, justice system reform, but also what can we learn about race relations with this incident? Is there any lessons that we need to learn?
Race has
Or what?
nothing to do with it, except for the fact that there are those that are left behind.
Yeah,
There are those that are ignored because of their
Mhm.
race.
yeah. Was
He's
Brooks
saying
ignored because of
it's
his
not,
race? I bet he
what
was.
was his race?
He was black or mulatto,
Okay.
probably, but was she ignored because of his race? It wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, so he's
Or of
showing me sort
income.
of,
It could
so
be, that
so
could,
yeah, underprivileged,
yeah.
fell through the cracks many times.
You
And this
see?
is something that we need to pay attention to when it comes to race.
Yeah,
And it's hard for a lot of us who don't see color
yeah.
to understand this, because we don't see color, and but we need to realize that this is happening,
Yeah.
even though we're like, wait, what? Somebody's being ignored just because they're a different race?
Or in a different.
We need to open our eyes to that
It
too.
might not always be race. It could also just be, socioeconomic level too.
Yes,
Below
yes,
the
but race is a
super
big one, he
impoverished.
says.
Yeah, and sometimes
Race is a big one.
sometimes both are the case. Anyway,
Yeah, it's
so,
sad. It's ridiculous
all
that
right,
this happens to people.
can we get the higher self of Brooks to talk? Because I want to see what he's
Nope.
thinking. No,
Nope.
because you don't want to, or because he's not ready.
He's not ready.
Okay, well, Erik, maybe you could
He
tell
won't
us.
get it. That's a total block off.
Well, Erik,
Well,
can you
I'm asking
tell us?
Erik why. Erik, why is it that he okay, I understand now. Okay, so Erik is saying because this is not only part of a soul contract, but part of free will.
Yeah.
And so he's going through a lot of I can't even describe it, but he's not quite there yet.
Okay. Is he, does he feel any remorse, Erik, that you can tell?
Erik says that he can't give that information yet, because he's still sort of in this counseling phase or this restoration phase or in this
Because maybe because he
okay, it's almost like he's not quite crossed over yet.
Oh no, he's
He
not dead.
doesn't,
He's in prison. Maybe that's the reason.
that's exactly okay, so he's not crossed over
Because
yet,
of legal reasons.
but he wants to die.
I bet.
Part of him is dead, but he's not. Okay, so he can't, Erik can't answer that question because he's not dead. But
that makes sense.
But as far as remorse, no, not in this physical sense. He does not feel remorse for anything. His higher self is different, and his higher self is the one that's going through this. It's like a tornado. So Erik can't touch that.
Erik, I wonder what he was thinking as he was plowing through bodies. Was he really angry? Was he just indifferent? At least give me a choice between those two.
Okay, so what Erik's giving me is he was non-present. He was blacked out.
Okay. Anger blackout, maybe?
Erik's not giving an emotion, just a sort of psychological freeze.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So he's talking about when you're on the highway and when you're on the highway and you miss your exit, but you don't remember passing it.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Or you get to your
but it's,
destination, you don't remember how you got there because you're just like,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a,
Maybe he was in
yeah,
a fugue state, some mental
he
fugue
was,
state?
yes,
Oh,
he was
okay.
in a mental, he does. And Erik says that if he testifies, he will say he doesn't remember any of it.
Yeah. Okay. Can we talk to the 6-year-old, the youngest that died? He's crossed over.
Erik says yes, but I'm hesitant. So I'm trying to,
He's just another
Erik and
soul
I
like
are,
you and I.
I know Eric's talking to me.
And he didn't feel pain, so that's good. But whatever if you don't feel comfortable, that's totally fine.
All right, so I'm gonna have Erik bring him forward and see what happens.
Okay.
So you have dark hair.
I don't know. I
I
can't
see
remember.
I see a little boy. He's got dark
Little
hair.
boy, some missing teeth, 6-year-old, I think.
Just a beautiful soul.
Yeah.
He's very happy. He's smiling.
Oh,
Erik is sort of, Erik is talking for him because he's doing that for me too.
oh, okay.
Thank you. All right, what do you want to know?
Yeah, I just want to know, are you okay?
He doesn't really know the difference because he was still so innocent
Okay.
and still so connected.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So close to just having
still
company
so
on his
close
side.
to, yeah.
Okay.
He's fine.
Any
It's
message for
those
your
who are
mommy
left
and
behind.
daddy? Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I stayed as long as I could.
Yeah. Oh,
I knew you needed to say goodbye.
yeah. Are you gonna
And
visit, leave signs, etc.?
I was standing right beside you
Oh,
when you were holding my hand.
oh. Okay.
And there's something with baseball. And I don't know if it's something with wings. I don't know if it's a butterfly, birds, or
Okay. All right.
dragonfly,
Butterfly.
but something with wings that they memorialize him with, and he appreciates that.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Uh,
Anything else you want to say? And then we'll let Heather off the hook.
Eric's taken him back.
Okay. All right. Was this part of us? Okay, we did that already. Was the tragedy, this is from the community, these questions. Was the tragedy a false flag / distraction created by the deep state? I would never come up with that question.
What the hell does that matter? Erik said. What the hell does it matter? Because this is a tragedy. It's a tragedy in itself. And
Yeah, of
we
course.
do have all kinds of bullshit circling around us, but why do we need to worry? Don't worry about that. Focus on the fact that there needs to be change that comes from this.
Well, do you think that it was created by the deep state to get the society's
No.
mind off of all? I didn't think so. All right.
No.
If it is in someone's sole plan to have this tragic accident happen, can we change anything from happening? This happened very close to me. Oh gosh, I was curious if it could have been prevented by giving him the help he would have needed at the time, or was it just supposed to happen so change can be made, as we discussed?
Yeah, Erik says amen.
So it was supposed to happen.
There needs to be change.
All right.
And supposed
Not
to
by this
happen is
one.
hesitant because again, he's bringing up there's some free will in there, but
Yeah.
there's also the fact that this change needed to happen.
All right. So if this didn't happen to make that change occur in the
Something
justice
else would
system,
have.
et cetera, and mental health awareness, then it would have been something else. But
Yes.
I have a feeling that this could have been prevented if Brooks this particular tragedy, if he had not just dropped between the cracks throughout his life. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. What concrete examples could Erik or any of the victims or the perpetrator involved in this tragedy give to help us understand what the world would look like if everyone had access to effective mental health care? Concrete examples.
Okay. Erik says he would be in jail right now.
Okay. Well, that's not,
And or
oh,
and or receiving the mental health he needs, depending on where, because there's layers to this. There's not just the justice system, but there's mental health system. They're not all the same.
education.
So there's layers to this.
Yeah. So I think what you're trying to say, Erik, is that there were many opportunities. He has a huge, long rap sheet. And if the justice system had, more consequences for criminals when they commit a crime, then he would be in jail, and he would have, been, his mental health would have been evaluated, and he would have been treated. Is that
This goes back to when he was in school.
okay? Yeah. So the school system might have caught it. If he had winded up in jail for other things on his rap sheet, then his mental illness would have, come to the attention of somebody, and he would have gotten the help he needed. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's also saying, at the risk of people getting angry with him, he's also saying that we do need to understand too that some people with mental illness don't always have control.
Yeah.
And part of being in a community is taking care of each other and knowing those who can't control themselves. Yeah. And pulling them out of the system so that they don't go haywire, and getting them the help they need. So he's not the only one responsible.
Yeah.
There are others responsible.
People that
led up to this.
People that missed picking up on his mental illness, teachers, principals, wards, people in the justice system, and the community, the collective as a whole. I mean, we need to take care of each other.
And he's like throwing this in the bowl of all this shit that has happened in the past 10 years. Throwing it in the bowl, like, oh my God, when are you guys gonna get it?
We're slow learners. But
right.
I just hope that this does not disappear off of everyone's radar. But I do think
it's not going to.
The testing, and making teachers and others, parents, etc., accountable for ignoring, at least if they're clear signs of mental illness.
The one thing I did see when I was scrolling through Facebook, which is really what I use, is sometimes I see clips on there, was the case of the young girl who was murdered, and they wanted to hold, and he took off, and they wanted to hold his parents accountable. I was like, finally, so that, the parents, you got to look at, I mean, what we wouldn't do to protect our kids, but there's a fine line.
I know.
So, and we are responsible for what we contribute to society and our children and our family.
Yeah.
And we can contribute in a real negative way.
That's right.
Thinking that we're doing it out of love.
Yeah. But yes, yeah. Was this incident meant to bring light to domestic violence? If so, what steps should we take as individuals and as a society to further the cause and help educate each other? And what is the proper way to handle our emotions in that type of situation? So that, I think that person's addressing.
This is tied to mental health.
He ran over his wife. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Did she die?
No, I don't think so.
Jesus. this ties into mental health, because there needs to be help for not only the perpetrators, but for the victims.
Yeah, both.
And we don't do enough for
Yeah,
either.
because there's mental and emotional consequences for the victim who is abused with domestic violence, but also there's mental illness involved in being a perpetrator of domestic violence. Like they could have intermittent explosive disorder, bipolar disease, schizophrenia, and
Yep.
paranoid schizophrenia. There's so many things, and
Yeah.
severe anxiety, OCD. There's all sorts of.
Right. So we are easy to blame the victim and the perpetrator, when we as a society need to look at ourselves.
Right. Spread the responsibility throughout the community. Yeah. Any last words?
That's
before we
very,
close?
there's a lot of sorrow.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of hope for change. So Erik really wants to stress that there's a lot of hope
Good.
for people who are stepping into their spiritual growth, understanding that we are all one as a whole, and we are responsible as a community
Yeah.
to do this together,
So
and to stop pointing fingers.
something. Yes, if you see something, sure you could be wrong, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Direct
Times are changing.
what you know to the proper authorities or what you
Yeah, it's like
see.
he says it's not the 40s and 50s anymore. We don't have to keep things secret.
Yeah,
We
skeletons in the
and we're not,
closet.
and that's
Yeah.
that's what's trending right now. So this is a huge step towards not keeping this stuff secret. But there have been people who have reached out in incidences that have happened like this, or even with this, with warning signs, calling police or whatever.
Yeah.
And the justice system needs to wake up,
Yeah.
and there needs to be a change.
We gotta stop politicizing the justice system. Basically, that's
They need to be able to do their jobs,
yeah,
and
exactly.
they need to be able to do their jobs well.
Yeah. Okay,
But
well,
it's also like the medical system, where there's just not enough help,
yeah. Mm.
but we need to support them.
Yes, absolutely. All right. I would like everyone to please send love and light and healing energy to the victims, their families, their friends, the Waukesha community. If there's any way to donate to any funds, etc., it's probably very easy to search for that. But let's pull together, as we have just been taught by Erik and others. Let's pull together and own up to our responsibility as part of the collective to help everyone. Okay. Anything else, Erik, you want to add, or Heather?
Thank you, Mom, for bringing this up. He's thanking me for having the
Thank you for
courage
being
to do it.
so brave. Yes.
He's like giving me a high five. He's like, I knew you could do
Bye.
it.
All right,
I'm like,
Heather,
whatever, Erik.
tell people how they can get in touch with you. And
Oh, commongroundhealing.com. I'm on Facebook, Heather Hilton Hartford. I have a private Facebook group called Common Ground Cafe, which you can talk openly and freely, and it doesn't go on your wall. And we talk about spiritual stuff. So that's really it.
all right. Thank you guys. Please like this. Please share it to the rest of the collective. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified to other things we're going to talk about on YouTube's, and also subscribe. Did I say that already? Anyway, and y'all check out channeling Erik with a K.com, and for scalar energy healing, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, then go to atlantiscalar.com. And we'll talk to you later. Love you all.
Awesome. Love you. Love you, Mom. Love you, Mama.
Love you, love you, love you.